Welcome back once again, my YouTube. Our topic today is mental slavery in Europe and Africa. Which of these continents suffer mostly, both in America and also in the Middle East? When we say Middle East, we talk about Iran and Saudi Arabia and also other region, Muslim region. The mental slavery is affecting every one of us living on this earth from different diversity. Once Africa was once a superpower. Africa was a land of science and technology, the land of agriculture, the land of a human civilization, the land of democracy before the West. The colonies and slavery came to Africa and enslaved Africa and established their own civilization and democracy. If you check the democracy in Africa and check democracy in Europe, you find out the one in Africa is more accurate and more understandable than the one from the West. Because of the civilization and slavery from Europe to the Africa, they sweep the history of God from the Bible and replace their own history. But they forget to sweep all the history from the Bible because the Bible has already made it clear. God has already made it clear. 50% of the Bible attached to Africa. You cannot be a good Christian without reading the history of Africa from the Bible. Because Israel migrated from Africa to where Israel it is now. If you cannot tell your children about the history of Africa, about the history of Christianity, if you're from Europe, you lie to your future because you believe you're a Christian. But you fail to tell your children you want Africa to slave Africa, to steal from Africa. The mental slavery is there. How did it affect you? It affects you. Average European cannot travel to any African country or walk free in the street of Africa without being afraid of his life. It's easy for Africa to come to Europe without being afraid of his life than to European to go to Africa. That mental slavery, superiority in Europe is still affecting Europe. The reason why he have not seen the effect is because the structure in Africa still giving privilege and authority to Europeans, to the West. The African have not established their own structure, which it will take many years for them to realize who they are. And the mental slavery is still in Africa by we are the spirit, we are the master, because of the slave colonies and slave trade which affected Africa. America have black Americans, France have black France, and Caribbean, and also part of Europe, Belgium, and so on. Those are the colonies. Those are the structure of the slavery. Those are the image of mankind. If you're a good Christian, you understand the meaning of Bible. If you're not a good Christian, you will not understand where you came from and where you're going. If you're a good Muslim, you will know the history. According to Bible, according to God's structure, only the truth can set you free. I'm not a pastor, I'm not a preacher. But in my own knowledge, I think this is time for we to tell our children and tell the story and the history of Africa. This mental slavery is not helping us, but it's a structure by mankind to be on the top, which they have their success, they succeeded after creating this slavery structure called colonies. African mental slavery is still a structure the way the West put it. You go back to Europe, ask for development, ask for health, ask for science. Without going to Europe, there's nowhere it can stand as an African. European cannot come to Europe. European cannot come to Africa the way we Africa are going to Europe. Thousands of blacks are dying in the Libya Sea, struggling to make it to Italy and Spain and the rest of the Europe. How many Europeans are dying to come to Africa? Then if you check the resources transported from Europe, from Africa to Europe and develop Europe, you will know this mental slavery will keep on controlling Africa. And mental slavery in Europe is the spirituality that average Europe will not believe who he is or who she is until the next civilization will take over. The reason why God allowed this to be is to test the structure of the mankind. The mankind had failed God. The world is turning upside down. Mental slavery